if we're going into the how of how thought is the how uh, into what creates our reality in our mind, right? The principle of thought is like an agent. The potential for experience comes through via thought and creates a reality for us in our mind. Now, if we can stay with that, if we can uh, remember that's a fact, and there's not much to remember. There's potential for experience coming through via thought, creating a reality. That's it. If we can stay there, even when we have a really poor experience of reality, when we're really down or it's quite dark inside of us, and we've lost a lot of perspective, we're zoomed into some details and stressed out, and life is not looking bright and rosy. It doesn't look magical. Then just remembering that piece helps us stay in perspective. It'll help us stay on the edge of thought instead of going into what thought is creating. It's very easy to go into what thought is creating, especially when we're not having a good experience, a poor experience of reality, or maybe a better way to say it is a poor quality of thinking that's present. That's going to be creating poor realities, painful realities, um, disturbing realities, um, hopeless realities. But all of that, if we can remember that it's created through thought, it's not actually hopeless. It's the thinking that's there in the moment. The thinking in the moment is made by the principle of thought. It's not made by what it's pointed to, because the thinking in the moment, especially with a poor quality experience, is easy to pin on something. I have such a hopeless year ahead. Why? Well, based on what I know and my past and blah, 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 so I can get really into it. But that's me inside of that particular thought bubble, inside of another thought bubble, trying to find the details of that thinking. Of course, it's going to look hopeless. Now, just try and imagine, if you don't know that it's thought creating your experience, you would actually believe it in no time that it is your past. And if you think it's your past, you're going to try and fix your past. If you think it's your capability, you're going to try and blame yourself and then fix your capability. If you think you lack potential, you will go gathering things to make sure your potential grows. If you think it's confidence, then you go on this chase to become confident. But if you know it's thought created, you do nothing. You experience it, but you know that you are the potential for experience, not the current experience. And in my experience of that, when that is going on, when I can stay in perspective in a very limited way, because when you're contracted, it's hard to stay in perspective. So you're having a shitty experience of reality. But if I can remember, oh, this is a thought created experience. It doesn't look like it that way right now. It doesn't look like thought. I can't see it's thought. It's very real. But if I can remember it, thought creates reality, and I live in the world of my thinking, not the world of my past or the world of my confidence or the world of my capability, the world of my thinking. Well, then I just don't want to do anything about it. And it fades faster. And that's one of the, in my personal view, that's one of the major benefits of it, is that it fades faster and I get another experience behind it much, much faster, because I'm not going into what looks real and I'm not trying to fix it. Even if I really want to, because sometimes it's just like, oh man, I know it's my confidence this time, you know? And it's not. It never is. It's just thought. It's just thought. So if I stay with that, I get another experience from the potential of experience. That's always creating another experience. Make myself available to that. The current experience fades quicker, and I find myself in another experience of reality. And that's kind of, explains why sometimes you can be in such a sad and a really down mood, and within 10 minutes that can change. You can be laughing. I mean, how does that happen? And everyone I've spoken to says that's true without them doing something about it. They don't try to get into a laughing mood. It happens on its own. They don't try to get into this feeling of connection. It happens on its own. It just occurs. And that's because we are the potential for experience, creating experiences all the time. We are not what we experience. I mean, sure, you're feeling shitty, go for a walk, watch a comedy movie, it'll get your moods lifted. You'll get into a better spirit. But there are times when you try to get to a better spirit and a better mood where it just doesn't work. There are times when you try to remember what is being said last week and it just doesn't happen. You rack your brain going, what was that? And the reason it doesn't happen is because we're trying to figure it out. We're inside of thought, trying to sort it. If you just give it up and go, I don't know what it was, I don't know what it is, and I'm not really interested in, well, it actually shows up on its own. Your consciousness expands as you give up on the experiences that you have. Now, when you're talking about having these beautiful feelings that you're having because you're thinking about the store, great. Nothing wrong with that. But to know that you're having a thought created experience versus, oh, I have a plan for this store and I'm going to make it happen. Now you're committed to a thought created image because there's no store in front of you. And then when the reality comes in, like the store is delayed, or the store is not as big as you want it, or you can't sell certain items that you really wanted to sell, then there's conflict. But the conflict is not because the store is not as big or because the items are not allowed. The conflict happens is because you are committed in your mind to those items or that size of the store. If you weren't committed, think up a storm. Imagine all you want. Don't commit to the imagination, and you won't be in conflict with reality. If you commit to the imagination, expect yourself to be in conflict with reality, but know that the conflict is not with reality. It's the conclusions that you're bringing into reality.